I woke up to, I want a divorce. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I want to separate and move out. That's when I finally reached out to men.
I'm going to tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burned hot. I'm going to tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares.
Welcome to the C-Note Show, gentlemen, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains. It's 11:01 here, Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. And you are here because this is where you do your daily work. This is your daily renewal of belief and thought about how to be a phenomenal man in your life, how to be a hero in your own life and the man of her dreams. And you found this work like me. In 2015, I found this work because I was in free fall. I felt like I was shoved off the cliff or I fell off the cliff and I was in the middle of a nightmare in purgatory. What felt like in free fall where nothing was changing in my relationship and it was a shit show. Was drowning in quicksand of the shit show of my relationship in 2015. And when my face metaphorically hit the ground, I woke up to, I want a divorce. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I want to separate and move out. That's when I finally reached out to men and started to do my men's work and hired a coach and went to a retreat and did 9 months solid of reading and writing, just totally changed my daily routines and my beliefs about relationship and about myself. And that's why you're here. You're here for that daily momentum. I'm Jeff Allen, a professional coach. This is Miss Cynthia Cruz, professional coach. She's my partner in crime and my co-host in the Feminine Perspective, the only woman allowed on the show. Welcome, Cynthia. Good to see you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me, for welcoming me in and giving me a place here sitting on this tribal gathering. And thank you for being here today, for the shows that you come to in the future. Your presence, it makes a difference. And it's a really integral part of why this show, why this gathering is such a supportive, momentum building, vision building, moving step forward type of place. So thank you for how you are in service and how you support.
Cynthia, I totally agree. Absolutely. You guys are Spartans for yourself and for the brother next to you to help reach out of the, pull us up out of the mud, as I say. And we're here today. We have some more Brene Brown. I have a TED Talk. I have some more Stoic philosophy from Seneca and from Marcus Aurelius today. We always start with some humor and a quote or a question from our private Facebook forum, our Great Men Move Mountains forum of you guys and our tribe of men posting wins, posting losses, let's say, or painful things that we're going through, or posting questions. We've got amazing men here already today. You guys are phenomenal. Walters and Ruben and Randy and Pat's here, Joseph, John, and Jason. Yeah, Jonathan, you're like charter member of this group and like elder in this tribe who comes with his stories. So John's here. Reach out to him today in private chat or within chat. Say hi. Right, guys? So Jason's here and James is here. James, good to see you, bud. I talked with James on the phone, and I think it's his first time on the show. So welcome, James, guys. Ian's here, and Harry's here again. Good to see you, Harry. Dave, of course, and Andy and Patrick. Our stalwart, amazing tribe leaders are here today. Cynthia, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's
awesome,
amazing.
Awesome to see.
And I see that Ruben's asking you for some cleavage. So.
Oh, well,
yes.
I could be like Roger and show my nipples off. I'd have to unbutton a little bit more. We'll do that after the credits today. Well, you guys are here because you're growing into having more love, kisses, sex, and affection, and knowing who you are as a man, growing into that man every single day. Yeah, you are a man growing in the world, rising in the world in spirit and mind and body, in soul, and in your perspective on how to be that man you want to be for your own self, for your family, for your kids, for your relationship. And like I said, to be the man of her dreams. There are skills involved with this that you can learn. There's the mindsets that we present here and men ask about, and men also give stories to us about. I'm excited for today's show. So let's jump in. Here we do our daily work. It's our daily renewal of belief and thought. And the theme of this week is chicks dig scars. Cynthia, do chicks dig scars?
Yes, very much so.
She like double take. Yeah, Cynthia gave us the double take of, yeah, they do. So after our comedy, I'm going to ask you about courage this morning. Right? And here's our post from the forum. Let's start right now. I'm grateful for conversing with Andy Malloy. Andy Malloy and Jason Bradbury are some of our leaders, coaches that help myself and Miss Cynthia coach and lead our forum and are moderators in our forum. And like I said, they're coaches as well within Great Men Move Mountains. So that's Andy Malloy if you don't know him. I'm grateful for conversing with Annie Malloy. I came to the realization that this work we are doing with ourselves, or the little boy within us, right, is the same work we will be doing with our wives. It is patience, compassion, empathy, and true love. It makes me feel enlightened and hope for the future with my wife. In further discussions, I'm grateful for Jeff's boundaries diagram and I realize that we are the emotional boundaries for the women in our lives. I always thought it was unfair to be lashed out at and not return in kind. Oh, there's that word fair. We'll talk about that. Who thought that sitting there and being their rock would be a turn on for them? I'm feeling enlightened, blessed, and clarity. We'll jump back to this here in a minute. I want to share so that I read that this morning, and here's that boundaries diagram that he's talking about. So the black lines are us as a man. So this is our masculinity, our container, the riverbanks, right? And the black lines in the center are our goals of our quote unquote femininity or our emotional expression to be within the boundaries of our own values and with our own wants and our integrity. That's the goal, right? So if our black line in this example, if our emotions go way outside of our own boundaries or our own values, it's really difficult for our woman or other people in our life to trust us as we don't seem to honor our own boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And so the blue flowing line is the water, the emotions of our feminine partner, right? And so she's not, quote, restricted by our boundaries, but our boundaries in relationship there are to give her a guideline of the flood of emotions that she often has, that she experiences. And give us a couple words, please, if you would, Cynthia, of what does it mean for our boundaries to stay solid, empathetic and compassionate, but solid even in her emotional storm? Like, please give us a few words on that. What does that mean to a woman that we're able to do that in a calm, compassionate way?
Well, that reminds me of the thought and the holding the belief that no matter what the storm, everything's okay and it's going to be okay. And that kind of boundary, that kind of frame is, a woman's storm and the water that's going in so many different places often has so many deep ties to worried that things are not going to be okay or that she's not okay. And so you even just holding that space and belief in yourself, and that's the boundary, is it's like the deep breath that she can take, even in the fire, that there's a frame to this, and it's not all is lost and not all is going up in a tornado.
Oh, I love that. So what does that mean when she's able to take a deep breath, like you just said? What does that mean for how she's feeling and how she's feeling in relationship?
Well, yeah, I like, even in my own body, I can feel that you're often in emotional storm, or often a woman is kind of holding this tension in her body. Like, I got to hold it all together. I got to move forward in this way, or got to keep contained, or there's something in me that's moving and I'm not sure what it is. And when you hold that, like, it's okay, and your boundaries don't shift even in her tension and her flame and her water, it literally, she gets to take a breath and her shoulders get to drop and her chest gets to open, and she gets to feel a sensation of muscles relaxing and being present in the moment and present in her body.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And so we want her to feel relaxed and safe and connected with us for, of course, any kind of intimacy, physical intimacy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
I know that's always a big question. Yeah, I love it. Well, so we'll talk about that some more as we come back from our comedy. I want to bring up the word fair again. Every man that I talk with, including myself back in 2015, had this question of, well, that's not fair. It seems like that's a double standard in relationship. Why is this not the same, flowing from one space back to the other? And that's not good or bad. That's just the biological and evolutionary reality that we need to face if we want to have sexual polarity in our relationship. Right, so we'll talk a little bit more about that today. But let me jump over to our comedy. We've got some more Jake and Amir today. It's called One Almond. And again, Jake and Amir are kind of like the Office's Jim and Dwight. They have like office battles between one another, or they banter back and forth. So here we go, some Jake and Amir.
Hey, you're watching Jake and Amir, and this intro sort of symbolizes the two dimensions of, okay. It's good to be the king.
You shouldn't be doing that.
Huh?
You should not be doing that.
Relax, dude, it's not a joint. Besides, I can afford it.
No, I mean, like, it's illegal to smoke in buildings in New York City.
Shit, really? God damn it. Fuck! Cannot afford that. Not today. I don't want to get in trouble.
Why do you have one of those?
Huh?
Why do you have that?
Now that I'm a rich bitch, I can pretty much buy whatever I want.
And one of the things you wanted was a tiny little folding fan?
Yeah.
How are you rich?
Great question.
Never mind.
How many almonds would you say is the perfect amount?
I said never mind.
I want to know.
I don't know, 2 dozen.
Well, I am now the proud owner of onealmond.com.
What do you think I said?
What?
When you said, what's the perfect amount of almonds? What do you think I said?
Sorry, let me rephrase that. How much would you say Google.com is worth?
Billions. Tens of billions of dollars.
Okay, right. And onealmond.com?
0.
0 billion or $0?
It wouldn't matter, it's all 0.
Okay, you know what? How much would you pay for courtside seats at the Yankees? Huh? Gun to your head, how much would you pay for courtside seats at the Yankees?
Tell you what, buddy, put your hand down.
What? Why?
Because it's irritating me, okay? It's like...
I'm invading your space.
Yeah, you can't ask me a question and then use your hand and immediately interrupt me, okay? You have long arms. Stop it.
What is it about one almond that's just... perfect?
Nothing. It's bad.
Don't just say...
It's bad.
Okay? Because it's more than just a domain name. I'm building an empire.
Well, right now the website's just a photo of you holding a single walnut.
Almond.
No, it's not.
Okay, you know what? No, just shut up. Just shut the fuck up. For once, you're gonna tell me what you really feel. Okay? Yeah, because I feel like a goddamn genius, but to you, I'm just like, I'm tired of being a chump in your eyes.
I'm jealous. That's what it is. I'm jealous. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's worth billions of dollars, and I'm just jealous that I didn't think of it first. Are you happy? Can we drop it?
Hey, Danny. Talked to a colleague with a more level head as you suggested, and guess what? He agreed with me, bitch. Yeah, so you can take your offer and go fuck yourself with it. Yeah, I don't care that my current attitude is closing the door for future negotiations. You know why? Because you're a rat weasel. Oh, double your offer? Double your bye-bye. Double your bye-bye. Double your bye-bye.
Stop it. What the hell is going on?
Some freaking real estate mogul called me this morning. I guess he's building a luxury high-rise on 1 Almond Street and offered me $1.5 million for the domain name, let alone for that picture of me with that freaking cashew or whatever the fuck.
Oh my God, those guys have been doing those skits, I found out, for years. They had at least 6 or 7 seasons of those, and they grow different hair and different facial, like, beards and stuff, like different facial hair and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, my favorite one from that scene is where, like, they have this arm reaching so far. You can't just say something and then interrupt me and put your hand in my face. You're like touching his face. That's my favorite part of it. What was your favorite part of that one?
The brilliance of just one almond.
It's 0 billions or 0. It's all just 0. How he's holding a walnut or whatever in the picture. That's not even an almond. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That open moment of honesty. I'm jealous, okay? I'm jealous.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. All right, buddy. Oh my gosh. So funny. Good times. You know, we got to laugh here before we dive into the shit, guys, right? We always dive into the shit, the bottom of the pool, and vulnerability and uncertainty and discomfort in our emotions. And then we bounce up off the bottom of the pool with a perspective and a plan. So let me ask you, the word fair, or I always thought it was unfair, was brought up in our opening, post from our Great Men Move Mountains forum. And I want to ask you, so when a man comes to you, and I'd love for you to, this is because you're a professional coach in this field, of course, and we've been coaches for years at this point, about 4 years in private practice. And Cynthia and I both work with men that are in the fear of divorce, or they want to save their relationship, or they're moving past that into version 2.0 of that relationship or with the next woman, and they want to know how to understand these things and how to have perspective and mindsets on these questions, right? So if we look at this, and that she can or does have these emotional storms, right? And that it's his job to maintain frame and masculinity, and that masculine frame and boundaries in a compassionate way. That doesn't mean that he shuts her down right now, but that it's not really okay for him to lose his shit, let's say, and blather all over the relationship, or to be unhinged and to drown in the bottom of the pool, right? It's not okay. She's not going to find that attractive. She doesn't want to then save him. She doesn't want to lead emotionally within the relationship and still maintain sexual polarity, which we talk a lot about on this show, right? So talk to us about that word fair. If a man comes to you and he says, but that's not fair, how would you start to open that conversation with him, or that question that he has?
So something that's very humbling learning more about men is I've had men give me feedback that it does not feel good, great in a moment of pride and confidence when they do, if they need to like blow up the boundaries, they do. I've received men saying to me that does not feel good to them, to be in a place of anger that they can't contain, or a place of pain. And so with that, I think the idea of fairness is, what in the end for each of us makes us feel the most proud and the most confident in ourselves. And a woman might feel, I actually find myself sometimes, if I need to really emote and I let it out and it's like, oh, thank God, there is kind of a pride and confidence. Like I can emote this feeling. It won't just be stuck here. And I got through it. And so it's an asking of what on the other side is going to make you feel in the grounded, solid, redwood place you want to be as a man. And I think when people are moving toward that, with the greatest of intentions for themselves and others, amazing things can happen in relationship with that kind of energy shift.
Yeah. So I love the redwood tree analogy, right? And redwoods, which I didn't know, the root system of the redwood trees all connect. And so they're all connected under the ground, and they're a tribe together too, let's say.
Yeah.
And how can I feel confident within myself looking back? That's a really great point, that when I wasn't in control of my anger in my past relationship, especially, prior to 2015, I hadn't done the specific work. I'd been in mental health, but I couldn't see the back of my own head. And at home, all those skills at work don't really translate to home very well. We all learned that, I think, either the hard way, a lot of us guys, right? Like I kick ass at work, I can keep my stuff together at work, but at home, it's a totally different situation. That's what it was like for me up until that point as well. And I was never proud of losing my self-control around anger or disgust or disappointment or criticism. Any of the four horsemen of the Gottman apocalypse, divorce apocalypse, right? Or becoming like a whiny little boy and trying to defend myself or critique, the woman across from me. That never feels good. Right? Yeah. So I can completely understand that. So, when a man does keep his frame in that way, how does it help a woman to feel connected in the relationship, even if she doesn't like it right now? I mean, so I had a gentleman talk with me about how she can, she's sort of allowed to lose her stuff. She's allowed to fall into insecurity. Allowed meaning that's kind of an expected thing with a woman. Or when she goes to her girlfriends, it's an expected thing, if you will, that she is emotional, right? And we're expected, if you will, and to, in a healthy way, uphold those boundaries. So what is it for a woman when he does do that, even if she doesn't like it in the moment? What does that mean for her more longer term as time goes on, that he is consistent and grounded in that way?
Well, it's that, I know this morning it's been kind of like already the redwood tree metaphor, but if we're thinking about long term and that quintessential symbolism of the river. And if the river banks are holding long term and she starts to feel that long term, that these banks are going to be here in the next 5 minutes, in the next 5 years, in the next 15 years, that again, it's that sense of like, oh, like I don't constantly have to be on edge, or I'm not constantly having to fight against this or push or pull. And you're also, modeling the energy of the relationship. And it's not to make a woman be more like a man, and it's not to make the man be more like the woman, but you're modeling a kind of energy, a kind of, sense of doing the very best in the moment, and the things that bring up sense of pride and confidence and health and well-being. And that energy, that emotional state, is something you're putting in the relationship space for her to, in her own more feminine way, how can she move into that energy in herself?
Sure. I love that. So I can hear guys right now saying, yeah, but in my situation, that might be different. Or yeah, but what if she does this? So I'd love for you to honor our chat. And I want to jump back to our opening question of what I would like to ask you guys right now. What do I have courage in at this moment? So gentlemen, I'd love for you to right now in the chat, give us one word or a few words or one sentence of, where do I have courage in my life at this moment right now? Where do I have courage in this immediate moment? Okay, it may change in 5 minutes, it may change in 1 hour from now or 5 days from now, but where do you have courage in your life right now? That's our question for today. I want you guys to punch into the chat. This is how we move our belief forward. This is how we renew our confidence, our emotional confidence, our mindsets, our spiritual confidence. And this is a behavior, so it's our behavioral confidence. This is what you're doing right now. So Cynthia, if you'd honor our chat, I'd appreciate it, please.
Yeah, well, it looks like Andy had to go. He said, hey guys, my ex just turned up with a 5-liter paint spill in her car. So he's in many ways going to go help clean that up. So Andy, thank you for doing that. And then John said she can relax and know she can trust that she can be flowing without you losing your shit too. My wife always said I took shit too personal, and she would bring something that would bother her, and I would argue it. When she learns she can trust you, she is free to be feminine, and that is sexy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So what's your feedback to John when you said
that? Thank you, John, for saying when she feels like she can bring something to you that, bothers her, or maybe in the past thought it would bother, you as the man. When she feels like she has the freedom to come, place that item on the table and talk about it, the level of trust there is just exponential. And it is, let's say a woman does process things from the past and the present a lot verbally and sharing her emotional expression of that. If that's an okay space to do that, and it's not, and there's got frame, and there doesn't need to be judgment in that space, it is a huge, huge gift to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage for our question today. So cool. Yeah, Dave says he has the courage to be comfortable with getting a divorce. Yeah, that's a huge piece, right? That was a revelation to me, which is, if it doesn't mean I have to like it, it doesn't mean I have to want that. But if I know that I'm going to be okay, like you said, Cynthia, if I know that I'm not going to die, if I know that this may be the best thing for me and for her and for the relationship, or the opportunity for me to have another relationship, for her to have another better match and relationship, even if I don't like it right now, if I have that mindset, if I have that frame of mind that I don't have to fear divorce, that I can start to get comfortable that maybe I'll learn something from this. This might actually be the best thing in my life, even though it feels like shit right now. That was a revelation for me. I totally agree with that. Yeah, please, if you honor our chat.
So I love, Jonathan's like, yeah, I've got courage everywhere. I'm kind of a badass.
Yeah, Jonathan, we know you're a badass everywhere, man. Fucking cheers. Love it.
And Jason said, courage to stay calm with my wife. And while courage to stay calm while my wife and I continue to spend time together without yet addressing the future. And Joseph said, I have the courage to start a brand new life for myself. It may not be what I originally wanted, but I'm excited for what comes next.
Oh my gosh. So that is so key, to be excited about what comes next in the next chapter of life, or in this chapter of life. Even, I mean, how many movies, how many stories start with a shit show, start with a tragedy, and then there's confrontation, obviously, right? The hero's journey. And then we discover something either about ourselves or about the world, and we incorporate that back into our lives, or back into our literal tribe or metaphoric tribe. That's the hero's journey. Right? And we come back with some knowledge that we didn't have before. And we don't know what's beyond our radar.
Yeah.
We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And like when I was in free fall in 2015, I couldn't look beyond the next 3 minutes, much less 3 months or 3 years in my life. And so that's why I'm so happy and proud that we lead this show, so we can bring tribe to you guys. Not just, certainly not just for me and not just for us. So that you can connect over private chat or in the Facebook group. Or we've got Sven Masterson is planning a get-together in Pennsylvania, in central to eastern Pennsylvania, where he lives as well. So guys, if you are available at the beginning of September, that's just a free get yourself there, get together with guys in middle to eastern Pennsylvania. The first week, I believe, we're going the 3rd through the 10th, I believe. And the weekend of the 10th, if I'm remembering the dates correctly, is the target weekend. It's a long weekend, Thursday through Sunday. And he's putting together an Airbnb. So you guys know Sven from our forum, from the Good Guys to Great Men forum as well. So if you're interested in something like that, just to get yourself there, some guys are driving 4 hours or 8 hours to go just to get together with men. So, I don't gain anything monetarily from recommending that. What that is heart. That's us guys getting together and, having camaraderie and having fun out. We'll go for hikes. I'm sure we'll do different stuff, but it's a matter of getting together, right? So hit up Sven either in our Great Men Move Mountains or in Good Guys to Great Men group and ask him about that at the beginning of September. If you want to get out there, even for a day or two, it'd be awesome. Yeah, we're flying out. We're getting our own Airbnb. Excited for that. Awesome. So yeah, I think Kent said one more, please.
Yeah, courage to face my day for what it is. A challenge for today only. Tomorrow brings new ones, and yesterdays don't matter anymore.
I love that. That reminds me of a Brene Brown video I have for today that I want to talk about. She speaks about the relationship between joy and gratitude. We curate this show for you guys every day. We love to do that. Cynthia found this video from Brene Brown. I had never seen this particular video before. So I'm going to share that right now. And then I see a question in the chat, and we'll talk about that when we come back from Brene Brown. Here we go.
I think the relationship between joy and gratitude was one of the most important things I found in the research. I wasn't expecting it. But what I found, 12 years of research, 11,000 pieces of data. I did not interview in all that time a person who would describe themselves as joyful or describe their lives as joyous, who did not actively practice gratitude. And for me, it was very counterintuitive, because I kind of went into the research thinking that the relationship between joy and gratitude was, if you're joyful, then you should be grateful. But it wasn't that way at all. It was really that practicing gratitude invites joy into our lives. And when I say practice, I think this is the part that really changed my life. It changed my family and the way we live every day. When I say practice gratitude, I don't mean kind of like the attitude of gratitude or feeling grateful. I mean practicing gratitude. These folks shared in common a tangible gratitude practice. They either kept gratitude journals. Some of them did interesting things, like at 1, 2, 3, 4, like at 12:34 every day, they said something out loud that they were grateful for. They, one of the things that we do, like we say grace at dinner. And so now after grace, we go around and everyone in my family says something they're grateful grateful for. I mean, and what's interesting is when we first started, I have a first grade son, Charlie, and 8th grade daughter, Ellen. And at first I thought, and we've been doing it for a couple of years now, like they were going like, oh God, Mom. And there was a little like, this is, are you experimenting on us? There was a little bit of that. But now what's interesting, even after we did it for like a couple of weeks, that on those crazy busy nights where we're trying to like get to soccer and piano and homework, and Steve and I are just like, we say a quick prayer, we start eating, and my kids are like, whoa, what are you grateful for? And it's been extraordinary because not only absolutely does it invite more joy into our house, it also is such a soulful window into what's going on in my kids' lives. So there are some days when my 8th grader will be like, I'm joyful that there's a huge thick wall between my room and my brother's room. Something just very, honest. But there are other days she'll say, she had a friend whose mother recently died. And she said, for a month she would say, I'm just so grateful that y'all are healthy right now. And so not only did it make us all more aware of what we had and more willing to slow down and really be thankful for the joyful moments we had, but it let me know where she was emotionally in her life. And my son is always, I'm grateful for bugs, I'm grateful for frogs, but sometimes he'll say, I'm grateful that you picked me up early, or, I'm grateful that I finally understand adjectives, So there's a great quote that says, it's not joy that makes us grateful, it's gratitude that makes us joyful. And it's by a Jesuit priest. And I guess I was just amazed to find that bubble up so strongly in the research. It's life-changing.
And one thing I love about Brene Brown is, aside from her being a phenomenal speaker and from the heart, and she has said that she doesn't memorize her speeches, that she has an outline that she practices and then just goes with it on her TED Talks or wherever that she is. So those aren't memorized. Aside from being phenomenal, it's her thousands of pieces of research data inform everything that she talks about. And in there she was saying, and I want to call on Dennis Collins to answer a question here in a second. I saw you come on, Dennis. That she was saying that gratitude precedes a joyful life, or is a part of a joyful life, and an actual practice, not just once in a while saying, oh yeah, I do that, but an actual practice, like our Morning Kingly plan, or our one sentence. The number one on the Morning Kingly plan is a one sentence appreciation journal, which I do every single day. I've been going on that since the beginning. We started this show over 3 months ago. And that practice, a small practice that takes 30 seconds like that, is a part of a joyous life. Yeah. And 30 seconds to bring more joy into your life, there's no excuse to not do that. So, hey, Dennis Collins, let me put you on the spot, bud. Come on. There was a question about the Pennsylvania trip. Thanks, Dave, and I'll answer that question. Actually, the dates are a little different than I said. It's the second weekend in September, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then Dennis and I have a retreat in March, which I wasn't going to try to plan to sell, but I'll tell you guys that's the first weekend in March in Phoenix, Arizona. So, Dennis, if you can you unmute yourself and come on, and I'll ask you our question. Our question of the day today, man, is what do I have courage in at this moment? Where do I have courage right now? Can you unmute yourself, or you're like, no, I can't? Yeah, there we go. What do you have courage in right now in this moment? What are you courageous in right this moment in your life?
I have decided to let go of the rope of the safety lifeline, full-time coaching.
Nice, dude. Congratulations. Yeah.
I've decided when I'm giving notice, and I'm going to provide them with enough stuff that they ought to be able to have me done by the end of the year or sooner. I'm sure going to do everything I can to help that.
Nice. So, all right, be vulnerable with this, right? Do you have any pangs of concern or fear or anything, or sadness underneath?
I don't. I really don't. That's the amazing part. I am in such a good place. And the second Thursday through Sunday for Sven's. No, I'm in a really good place right now. Just booked the Palace for March for us.
Nice, yeah.
if you want to show a sneak peek of the palace, I have it pulled up on my screen.
You might as well. I mean, I never do any kind of, pitches in the middle of the show. So this is just to let you guys know that this is the second annual, and we will do this every year. Dennis and I, the first weekend in March in Phoenix, Arizona. It's men's work and then an advanced pistol defense training that we've talked about. And we can talk more details later if you guys want, or you're going to go to Dennis's website where he hosts our retreat there. He and I do that retreat. So yeah, Dennis, go for it.
All right, let me hit the share. All right, so we're just going to scroll through the...
Yeah, this will be home base.
Wow.
This was our #1 pick too, and we got it.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh yeah, there's a pool this year.
Oh yeah.
Did not have a pool last year. Look at that.
That's a chipping green right there. No, just joking.
That was the other one.
Yeah, I'm just joking. Yeah, some of these had like putting greens and stuff, but this one's got the swimming pool. Oh yeah, the beautiful kitchen, tons of space.
So I'm excited. We are a third full already. It's going to be a blast. Got a hell yes from our instructor. He's excited about doing it again. Anyone
James,
who's been there knows.
James, right, is his name?
Yes.
Oh yeah, James is the man. He brought a bunch of different pistols that we could try out through the thing too as well. So we didn't have to just have one the whole time. We could trade off. He's got different holsters.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, super cool stuff. We move and shoot targets. He times it. He's got professional timing mechanism that he holds up. And yeah.
You turned out to be a badass with a gun. Would you in any way, shape, or form want to go up against James in a gunfight?
Well, I mean, I can't say no to that now, right? Like, absolutely. He's going to be like, oh, my God, I got to kick this guy's ass.
Oh, the guy. So we had somebody who was having an issue with hitting the target. And he said, and he was blaming the gun. And James was like, let me see the gun. And then he held it upside down.
And he fired it with his pinky.
Yeah.
He held it upside down and fired it with his pinky. Yeah.
He held the gun, just like that.
Yeah.
And it was out like this. He lined it up upside down and he drilled a bullseye.
Yeah. He's like, buddy, it's not the gun. All right.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to put. Somebody asked for the information on the retreat.
Yeah, please do that. We're gonna keep going with the show. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, that's the first weekend in March. But just to confirm, get yourself there from Sven Masterson is the Thursday the 10th through Sunday the 13th in Pennsylvania. And Cynthia and I are going from Saturday to Saturday. So we're going from the 5th through the 12th. We're going to be in Pennsylvania. So we're doing some stuff on our own the first half of that week. And then we're going to go and I'm going to do some, men's work with the guys the second half of that week. So that's my plan. So just get yourself out there, Dave. That'd be phenomenal. Super cool. All right. Yeah.
What day are you heading out there, Jeff?
So we're going out on the 5th, but I'm meeting up with the guys on Thursday the 10th. So really Thursday the 10th and Friday the 11th are the main days that I'm going to do men's work out there. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not invited to our Airbnb. Sorry. Don't bring the cross. We don't need it. It's fine. Nice. Hey, thanks, Dennis. Yeah, manoflegacy.org/retreat is Dennis's website. And Dennis says, just bring the flogger. Yeah. Totally. Oh, man. So let's segue. I've got kind of the other side of the coin of what we're talking about, Cynthia. I've got, what are the influences that make us think that we want more in our life than we have? Why are we unhappy in our life? Here's a TED Talk that's titled Why We're Unhappy, The Expectation Gap. And I've got 2 clips. I'll just show the first one now to open up to why are we unhappy in our life. And I'll spoil it a little bit in saying that we're wanting validation from outside of us instead of validating and coming from inside of us to validate our own life, to have values from our own self, like our Stoic philosophy that we share on this show teaches, like our 3 forms of confidence, the behavioral, emotional, and spiritual. Those all come from within you. But if you're trying to validate yourself from outside of you, it leads to big time trouble. So I want to share this, and I have a feeling, guys, that this is going to trigger some shit in you if you still have resentments about things that have gone on with your spouse or your soon-to-be ex or your ex. So I want you to watch this and ask us questions. Ask us questions about this scenario, either by raising your hand or by posting in the chat. So I'm going to share, it's about 2.5 minutes, and then ask us questions. Here we go, right now.
Which we form expectations. I think we form expectations based on our imagination, based on those around us, and based on our past experiences. So to this first type of expectation gap, the imagination gap, which occurs when our imagination exceeds reality. You see, when we choose to buy goods, we choose from a range of options. When we choose where to travel to, we often choose from a range of options. When we choose which leader to elect, we often choose from a range of options. And how do we make that decision? What we do is that we choose the one that we think will be the best. We choose the one that we imagine will be the best of all the options. And so what we do is that we try to maximize our utility at a given price. That's how most people make decisions. To do otherwise would be to choose an option that we didn't think would be as good, which seems a bit counterintuitive. Now the problem here is that the very act of choosing the thing that we think will give us the greatest happiness, that very decision-making process is the thing that actually undermines our happiness. Because what it means is that when we then see reality, when we then experience it, whether it's the good or the place we travel to or the leader that we elect, it's highly likely that that reality won't live up to our expectation. And that leads to disappointment. And technology makes this so much worse. What technology allows is things that are actually unrealistic to appear real. Things that aren't even on the happiness scale are made to seem as though they are actually possible. We Photoshop things in, we airbrush things out, we digitally enhance photos. And what this does is it makes us romanticize travel and makes us come up with fantastical ideas about places that reality simply can't live up to. So we think Sagrada Familia looks like this, when it actually looks like this. We think the Taj Mahal always looks like this, when actually often it looks like this. We think that the Mona Lisa looks like this, when actually if we go and visit it, it's more likely to look like this. What technology does is that it skews our vision and distorts reality and makes the unreal seem real. Indeed, many of the times that when we're happiest when we go traveling, they're actually the times when we stumble across things we didn't expect, when we discover things for ourselves, where we don't have preconceived notions of different places. And what also makes this worse is selection bias. Many content.
He goes on to talk about selection bias, how Facebook and Google show us the most liked images and not necessarily what's a fit for us or what's real. That's the selection bias. But I want to point out, right, that we have the belief, many of us have the belief that we can have the ideal, which much exceeds our reality, the potential for reality. And so I'll bring that idea into conversations about relationship, right? So when you and I work with men, and when I talk with men and their spouse is unhappy about life, a lot of times, or the relationship, a lot of times they'll say, well, she has this unrealistic expectation of me or of the relationship. Okay. He'll say words like, I take responsibility for myself. Mm-hmm. And hopefully he's doing work like this. Hopefully he's digging into the books that we recommend here and this show and maybe hiring a coach or going to a retreat, whatever's going to be beneficial for him. His going to his church or reading books on his own or talking with his guy friends that he can trust, right? He's doing that work, hopefully, and writing for himself. What would you say is the prevalence, or why is it? Like, let me just fucking stab in here. Why is it, do you think, that women have these expectations of relationship, and yet when they're in, let's say, reality, they're unhappy comparing that ideal or that, let's say, Disney or fairy tale potentially to what's happening now? What is it? And I'm stabbing in here, right? So just be honest with us. What is it that's going on with a woman, whether good or bad or ugly or whatever that is, right? We just want you to be real here, that maybe contributes to her feeling unsatisfied, whether justified in that or not. Yeah, please share with us.
Sure. Well, You mentioned the word fairy tale. And I actually am not someone who's like, oh, like they hold up unreasonable expectations. And if the woman's not going to get her like prince on the horse in the castle, then she's unhappy. I do believe we have a lot of big stories in our culture, in our world, that at the very core, at the very bottom of them are real, beautiful human man and woman, masculine, femininity desires. And then they just get blown out of proportion and glossed over and photoshopped, and all you see is the Mona Lisa right here. When they showed that in the what's the name of the museum where
is it the Louvre? I'm not sure.
Louvre, thank you.
Yeah.
When you see it, the Mona Lisa is still there. It's just behind all these other layers of people. So it's not like the initial beauty is a different picture. It just gets layered on. You know, you made a joke a little while ago about like the girls who grew up watching Friends. And in searching as a younger person, like what relationship looks like, all I had in front of me was the modeling of sitcoms. So there was this thought process of this is how relationship works, just because that's what I saw. And then there's the romantic version of that in movies that, you know, all harms can be healed if you just show up in a dramatic way at the door and knock and say, but I'm here and I love you after all this shit we've been through, and that other person's gonna like welcome you into their arms. And I learned the hard way that does not happen. And I was like literally going, but this is what it works in the movies. Why is this gentleman not welcoming me back into his life?
Yeah, welcome to the reality of those that try to like base relationship advice off of movies, right? That we've all been there, definitely. So, I mean, my advice starts with when I'm coaching a man, we talk about modeling, how he's modeling what he wants in the world. So how does he deal with, or how can he in a healthy way deal with a woman who seems to want things that are unrealistic, right? If we start with his own modeling, what does that do for her? How can he do that and still have perspective on her potentially unrealistic expectations?
I think it's the modeling of, each of us, like where are we blowing expectation out of proportion, and then to not make that bad or wrong. Kind of what Jonathan said earlier about Brene Brown does a good job of saying our humanness is here and that's okay. So our expectations, there's a real human want beneath that. And when you as a man can really tap into what are your core wants as a masculine presence in the world, you are again modeling that energy for her. And then also having that perspective that if, you know, she's complaining that, you know, the Mona Lisa is too small or that she can't see it well enough, one way is to go, I know beneath that there is a true human desire, but it's coming out in a very out of proportion, maybe rude, impolite, glossed over way.
So what if I'm a man who's coming to this work and doesn't know better yet, and he tries to make her happy all the time? Like he tries to console her about the Mona Lisa being too small. Thank you, Tim, for that comment. It's like, oh, she's not happy about that. I need to make her happy. It's my responsibility to fix her emotions, to make sure she has a perfect experience. You know, what happens in a woman's body or in a woman's experience when he has that strategy?
Well, it starts to feel, it's actually like a feeling of, and it's kind of an insatiable feeling that she has, because it's not true. It's not the deepest core want she has. So, you know, here's this man being like, oh, let me fix it. And she starts maybe getting really like, selfish with that energy and demanding, and because she's searching to truly meet the hunger she has. And it's like being given like sugar over and over and over, and we all can get really cranky and feel awful if there's like too much sugar in our way.
So that's a fantastic, analogy to our body, maybe liking the sugar in the moment, but feeling like shit afterwards. And it's not the best thing for our health ongoing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So yeah, gentlemen, I mean, I could keep going. I'm looking at our time. I'd love to give you space to ask a question if you like. And while you post your question or raise your hand in the participant section, I'm going to read a quote. So I'll share one from Marcus Aurelius tomorrow, and I have one from Epictetus today. So think about yourselves when I read this, or think about the relationship, the third entity. When I see an anxious person, I ask myself, what do they want? For if a person wasn't wanting something outside of their own control, why would they be stricken by anxiety? If a person wasn't wanting something outside of their control, why would they be stricken with anxiety? I mean, Dennis Collins was a great example. He knows he controls his own destiny. He's not stricken with anxiety right now. But in a relationship where he's trying to feed her sugar and fix everything, and he thinks that's the right strategy, that was me in the past, my past relationship, trying to fix everything. And hell yeah, I had a lot of anxiety because I didn't know if it was going to work. And it's grounded in the wrong frame of mind from the beginning. Like, I'm not responsible for her emotional experience. She's not responsible for my emotional experience either. And so let's talk about, what do they want? So what does the woman want underneath that? And yeah, if you'd honor our chat, I'd appreciate it too.
Well, Jonathan, I appreciate your clear, concise words. It's a trap. She's not broken and doesn't want to be fixed. She just wants to be heard and understood. And Tim said, when I'm trying to validate her feelings and make her feel heard, I feel like I'm blowing her feelings off. Or maybe I get tired of saying, wow, that sounds really difficult. What more do you want me to know?
What would you say to Tim there?
Maybe I get tired of saying, well, that sounds really difficult. So Tim, there was another gentleman who shared with me a similar experience, and his wife in turn would be like, he would say, that sounds really difficult. And she would say, well, I still feel like you don't hear me, and you never talk to me from your heart. And so she wouldn't even receive what he was saying. There is a part of women who they really appreciate the real guttural physical empathy that someone has with them. And so a woman might offer that to another woman with just that must feel awful. And I think sometimes women are expecting gentlemen, again, to be like hairy women and to be on that same emotional, let's share this experience together. So I do offer that. Sometimes it's more of that, just can you feel the emotion she's having in her body with empathy? And then it's okay, moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, I fully agree. And so a guy's going to say, well, how do I practice that? How do I do that? And what I can give you right now is an audio book, I Hear You by Michael Sorensen. I know Jonathan talks about this as well. This is a book that I give men within my one-on-one coaching program, and we do within our group coaching program as well. And it's less than 3 hours long. It's specifically on how to practice empathy and compassion and validation within conversation. And so that's what I would give you right now. I Hear You by Michael Sorensen. That's a phenomenal one. Jonathan gave an example of something else you could say, which is a metaphor. And so this is something phenomenal. Cynthia's talked about metaphor for years, and I realized if I'm not sure what to say, go for a metaphor. Because it conveys how you're feeling, and it's something that's creative and thoughtful. So Jonathan says, sounds like your cup is empty. So if she comes to you and she's saying these things and wow, sweetie, it sounds like your cup is empty.
Yeah.
Or using weather or nature as a phenomenal metaphor almost always, right? It feels like thunderstorms are rolling in, or it feels like you wanted to see stars in the sky and it's a cloudy night. And put a period at the end of it. You're saying one sentence or two sentences. You don't need to say a lot. But then what you do need is the emotional resonance when you sit with her, okay? If I'm sitting there and metaphorically I'm like this, if I'm not receiving her or if I'm afraid of what to do and she's telling me something and I'm just basically like this in my energy, and she's going to hate that. That's going to feel terrible to her, and it would to you too in turn, right? But if I'm here, if I don't need to fix it, if I'm letting the pain or her sadness wash through me and be okay with it, and knowing that her thoughts don't have to physically affect me, that her thoughts may even be about me right now, and I can sit in that pain, and that's okay. I'm not going to die. The world isn't going to end. In fact, that in and of itself is healing for her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that feel when I say that I'm here and I'm in the pain, or I'm in the sadness, or I'm in the joy with you?
Well, I mean, what you just said about that is healing in itself. Just to be heard in that place, and like you're hearing with your body. That is, I totally believe that at their core, that's what a woman is looking for when she's trying to really share an experience with you. And that none of this is black and white, and I do recognize that. But in that moment, I didn't need you to fix anything, tell me anything different, offer solutions. It was just like, that I'm not alone in this, and he gets it, and now I can move on. And I want to say like an adult can go back to adulting.
Sure. You feel understood, right?
Yeah.
That's very cool. I love that. So cool. Well, thank you guys. We're coming to the end of our show today. If you have a question, post it in our private Facebook forum. Post it in the chat right now, and we'll see that. We get a transcript of the non-private chat with every single show. So we love you guys being here. So we'll pause right there. What he's saying is anything that disturbs you is something that you need to articulate in your life. And by writing it down, getting it out of your head, that's the first step. Don't think that you can just process it all in your head. Speak with another man in the tribe, write it down, look it up, do something to take some action on it and bring it to the guys. Post it in the forum. We're here for you. Thanks, Cynthia, for being here.
Thank you.
See you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain. Ciao.
Bye.
Let's say thank you to our men and close it out for today.
Thank you so much for being here today on this Thursday, or perhaps it is Friday for you. It is a pleasure and an honor. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This has been the C-Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. If you're not yet a part of our private Facebook group, you need to be invited in. It's free, but you need to be invited. Go to greatmenmovemountains.com/Facebook and punch in your information. The website or the retreat in March that Dennis was talking about, manoflegacy.org/retreat. He and I lead that. It's our second annual, the first weekend in March. Thanks, Cynthia, for being here.
Thank you.
See you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain. Ciao.
Bye.
I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares, and it's lovely.